This is how to strip the DTR engine, but the electric start one. It's different to the other DTR engine, so I just thought I'd make this video and show the differences and how the best way to take stuff off is. First of all, first thing you should remember when your engine's still on the bike, take your front sprocket off, because it's hard to get. If not, when it's out the engine, you can get the clutch holding tool, nip it on so it keeps the front sprocket still, and get an impact gun and take it off, and that takes it off. And that's the front sprocket nut. That side goes on first, like that, so that's facing the outside of the engine. You've got your lock and tab and your front sprocket, so just remember it goes on that way like that, with that on the inside. And then normally on some bikes you can take the flywheel straight off, but on this bike I'm going to show you a tip, so stay watching. And while we're on this side, loosen all the case bolts up. And then we're going to turn around and go to the other side now. I'm going to slacken all the case bolts on this side. And when you take your water pump case off, you can put those two bolts back in there for safekeeping. This one needs to come out as it's longer, but you can just put it in there for the time being. So we're going to be taking all these off. And when you do slide this casing off, you can leave all these case bolts in so you know where they're going when it goes back on. Then once all your case bolts are slack, just leave them in the holes, and this casing just slides off. Just keep all your bolts into the holes, push them all back down, and just keep them like that, just so you know where they go when you put this casing back on. Then we can take the 4 reed bolts off, put them bolts back into the holes when we take the reeds off. Then you've got your reeds off with your inlet manifold. The reeds just pop off. These have got carbon fibre reeds in this one, and we're going to put the 4 bolts back into holes so they don't go missing. And then whilst we're working on this side of the engine, your lock and tab on this balancer shaft cog, just bang that back so it's not locking the nut anymore. Don't bang it all the way back flat, because when you put it back on you'll not be able to find a grip to grip it to bend back over. Just bend it back just so it's off the nut. And we're going to take the 5 8mm nuts off the clutch basket. Just leave that one on the middle because it's an adjuster, and it saves you adjusting it because it's adjusted anyway. But if you go to take these off and it spins, you just put a penny under the primary drive cog and on the back of the clutch, just to lock the clutch, just so it stops the front spinning. And most of the times you probably just have to hold your penny up by hand just to keep it in, just to lock it, and it does take them off. And then you should have 5 springs like that, and 5 small nuts like that. Always use a socket. Don't use a screwdriver because you'll round it. Don't even use a spanner unless you're using a good ring spanner to get these off, because they do round quite easy. So we've got 5 of them and 5 springs. Then you can pop the front of the clutch off. Just be careful. And it just slides off. There's no washers on the back of this part or nothing like that. It should be looking like that. And what I normally go by, if that middle part of this metal push rod is flush with the front of the bolt, that means it's set good. That's how you want it. If this is sticking out, as soon as you look at your clutch, if that's out from the nut, you know that it's set different. So that's how you set it. That's the standard setting anyway. So it's just like that. And then we've got the clutch. If the clutch plates are on properly, the second plate up got a bigger diameter and a damper ring fits in. I have got another video how to set the clutch properly, and you've got lips on each plate that go in sequence, but like I say, just check my other videos. But we'll have a look at the second plate. There's your first plate, what's come off, which is wrong. There's the second plate, that's right. And that's your damper ring, what goes into the second plate. We'll check that's how all your plates should be. There should be just one. With the bigger diameter like that, all the rest should be like that. And this one goes on second, with your damper ring goes in the middle like that. And then we're going to take this nut off. It's got a locking tab on the back. Bang that again, as with this one. And we're going to put the clutch tool onto here to hold this still as I take this nut off. And when you take the plates off, just to remember, there's only 6 of these ones, but make a note they've got a little lip on. That you find out that when you fit the clutch. So you've got 6 of those plates, 7 of those. 6 of them should be all the same like that, and one of them on this clutch, there's 2. On one of them there should be one like that for your damper ring to fit in. This one goes second up anyway. And that's the clutch tool. You just lock the inner clutch with that, so it keeps it still like that. Because if you turn that nut without this on, this just spins and you'd be on all day. Spin, spin, spin. So we're going to take this middle nut off now. And when you take this nut off, you can just rest the tool onto there instead of holding it. It just comes off like that. You can have your centre knot, what looks like that. You've got your locking tab. We'll just pop that out, which looks like that. And just remember, when you take it off, don't bend that flat, because you'll not be able to get anything underneath it. You've got that side. When you put it on, you can just nip it with pliers instead of banging it with a chisel, and it nips it back over the nut. So anyway, we've got that, and your locking tab. Centre clutch to come off, just slide off, and there'll be a big spacer behind it. Always check behind stuff when you're taking them off, in case anything's stuck. But this one goes onto there, and it's got like little splines in. It looks like that. That's the fatness of it. Now the clutch basket slides off. Always check behind it when you're taking the clutch off, because the little washer on the back normally sticks to it like that. You're going to have one washer here, which looks like that, and there's a small washer onto here, which is this one, when I can get it off. And just remember, when you're putting it back together, oil this, because once the clutch is on, this isn't getting oil. This might be hard to get off. Seems to be there, it's off. So we're just slide it off, and it looks like that. That's how thin it is. There's only one of these in the engine, so just remember that goes on, then this one, and then your clutch basket. But always check your clutch basket when you've took it off, because they've always got washers behind the back like that. And you'll notice, with this being electric start, it doesn't have the kickstart shaft, it doesn't have the kickstart idler cog either. Just remember that. Next, we're going to slide the gear stick shaft out, because it can come out now. Rip the old gasket off, because we'll be putting a new one on and rebuild. Just rip the gear stick shaft out. Make sure it's straight and bent, not bent, sorry, and just check all this. Make sure it's working okay, which it is. It looks like that. Now we're going to move to the other end, but I'm going to let you into a tip which makes my rebuilds totally unique to any YouTube video what I've seen of people doing rebuilds or dismantling bikes. I have seen people, when they go to take the flywheel off, they're putting a bar through the conrod with some wood onto here to lock the rod where they're taking it off. Doing that, they're doing damage to your conrod and your rod bearing. And on this flywheel, on this one, it hasn't got no holes in to lock the flywheel, or we could have done it that way. But anyway, I'll show you what to do. The flywheel nut comes off anti-clockwise, so we're going to put the penny into this side, into those two cogs. And then whilst keeping the penny in your hand, just get your right socket, which I don't have. And then whilst keeping your penny, make sure it's still in. The nut goes anti-clockwise to be took off. Just nip it down, and when it's all locked off your penny, which is in there, because the flywheel won't move now, so I haven't locked the crank, I haven't locked the conrod and damaged your main crank bearing. I've locked it that way. So now take your flywheel nut off, which comes off like that, anti-clockwise as I said. Then you've got your big spacer like that. And then we're going to put the flywheel puller onto this side, which is different to the flywheel puller on the other engines. That's why I made this video, so I'll show you now what to use. This is the type of flywheel puller you need for this engine. It's like that, it's like that. I'll show you how to put the rest on. So that bar's through, you put that on, so that pump goes through the middle of your crank. Then you've got the 3 bolts what go through here into the 3 holes in your flywheel. Don't know if you can see them. There's 3 there. 1, 2, 3. And a good tip, put tape round there, so you know these have went through your flywheel, but they're not going too far through. The same with the other flywheel on the 97 to the 2003 one. If you put that through too far, it's going to hit the stator. On this one, it doesn't really matter, but still, just as long as it's through that many threads, you're alright. And once your 3 bolts are in, you're just going to be tightening this. And as you're tightening this, pushing onto the crank, it's pulling the flywheel off. You just keep going. It does get tight in the end. And when it gets tight, you just bang this end with a hammer and it shocks it off. What you can do is just, when it gets dead tight, don't tighten it too hard after this in case you snap the bolts, but just put a wrench in there just to keep hold of it, because you can't keep hold of that. And that's as tight as I can get it. And you need a big hammer like that if you're stripping bikes. It's like a little mash hammer. We'll just bang that, and hopefully and it bangs off. Just remember, get it dead tight and bang it with the hammer. It does eventually come off. That's about your flywheel. There's no washers or nothing like that. And you remember, if you put your blue tape on, so you know exactly how far to go in when you're putting them in. And then you've got your 2 screws here for this plate. Take them out. You will need one of these because these round off very easily. This engine's been apart before, so some of the stuff's slack. And these 2 bolts I've just slackened, keep the starter motor on. So there's 1, 2, 3, keep the starter motor on. I'm going to take that one off, pop the starter motor off, then put this bolt, and that bolt, which is down there, you can't see it, on there, back into the starter motor, so we keep them bolts together. And this plate just pops off, this goes on that way. We're going to keep that, and we'll put everything back on together. I'll show you in a minute. Then we'll lift the starter clutch off, which is that. It'll have a bearing in it, which is there. Just check it. That slides in there. See, there's no washers here or here. This just, see, that just slides off. Then pull your starter motor idler cover off. There'll be a little washer at the top, which is that one. got your kick, starter motor idler cog. It's best to keep on top of that bearing in there. Always grease it every so many miles, because this part of the engine doesn't get no lubrication. Anyway, then behind it you've got another little fin washer. It's just the same as that washer. If I can get it up. So we've got two of those. And your starter motor idler cog. So one goes like that, one goes like that, and it goes on that way. Just put that there. Now we can slide the starter motor off. It should just come off. If it doesn't, just get someone to tap it. It does come off quite easy. Not going to damage it. Just hit it gently and it slides out. And you will have to take this one off. That can just bend back. But we're going to take all these case bolts off anyway, so I'll just take this one off now and put it back in the hole, because I've got another tip with the case bolts to show you. We'll just put that back in. Then we're going to, the starter motor went on that way, and then we're going to put the bolts what come back out on it, come out of it back in, sorry. So that one goes into there on your starter. And you can put the plate onto there as well if you want to keep that. If you want to keep the plate safe, you can put that on there with the bolts through. And there's two what come off, both the same length. Just go in there and there for safekeeping. So you've got all your three starter motor bolts now. We'll just put that away with that starter idler cog and your two washers. And then now we're going to be taking them three out of this plate. I don't know if you can see, that one's already rounded. This one's okay and that one's okay, but you'll only get them off with an impact. Other than that, they'll round. They normally do round. We're going to get this off next. And with that one being near enough rounded, try and take that one off first. So if we take these two out, all the pressure holding this on isn't on this, because this will still be tightened in. It's best to try and get that one out. Then these ones can come out easier after this one. Before you do this, it's best to clean your hands, get nice and dry. Rub all oil off this. Rub all oil off your hammer, just so you can grip better. Because these is one of the hardest part of the engine, screws like this, especially in these, because if somebody else has been in them, you can always tell they always got like rounded off to them. And when you've done those three tricky screws, it's best to clean your oil away here, clean all your tools, have a little break. It's better than messing on oil. I like to drain the oil the day before out the bikes, so I'm not messing about oil on the parts. Then you can just take these out when you've got them out. That's your plate. It goes on that way with your three screws, which I'll be changing that one when I rebuild it. That's how it looks anyway. Then we can loosen these other bolts inside of here. There's 1, 2, 3, which are Allen keys. They're normally all screws, so that's how I know somebody's been in this engine. And we've got these 2 screws here. So it's best, don't use normal Allen keys, use something like that. You're never going to round Allen keys off neither. So we'll get these out and I'll show you my next tip. And you can pull your woodruff key out your crank if you want. Sometimes they're normally tight and they don't come out, but this one was sticking up, so it's slackish. But that's your woodruff key. There's 3 in the engine. There's 1 on this side, and I'll show you the other 2 on the other side. That's all your case bolts loosened. There's 1 in there, remember that one hidden up there. And then we're going to get the impact driver onto these 2 screws. 1, 2. You just put it in. It's better to have a steadier surface, but I'll put it like that so you can see. And as I'm lifting this up, the little ball bearing and the clutch rod should have dropped out the shaft on the end, but we'll have a look at that in a minute. So you just, I'll show you this one. Put it in. Don't even need to turn, just keep it tight. Hammer it, and it does turn eventually. Going to do the bottom one. Guess you just bang it and you'll see the screw turn. And that's that one nice and slack. So we're going to take these both out. So you've got that one and that one, which look like that. And I'm going to put them back into the holes just for 2 seconds, because we're going to go around to the other side now. And that's what I was talking about. That ball bearing comes out of this hole, and then this comes out. So you've got this push rod, your ball bearing, which goes into that, and then your other side of your clutch, which is that push rod there on that, and that goes in. So you've got that push rod, that ball bearing, and this push rod. Just put them somewhere safe. And then we're going to loosen this balancer shaft nut, so put the penny into that way. Just remember, I don't know if you can see that there's 2. See a little notch on this cog, I'll show close when it's off, and a little notch on that cog. They line up on assembly, so just remember that. Anyway, you're going to be putting your penny into there. Just to lock it up, which would be like that, and that's nice and locked. And then one way. Push your penny in, and this comes off anti-clockwise as well, that way, so it's slackening off that way. And it is quite tight. That's why your penny is the best thing to put in, because it's softer than these metal cogs. So the penny nips into the cogs and it doesn't damage your cogs, because they are dead tight, these. That's it. And just leave it on, and then we're going to tighten. While we're on with this, the penny's all bent. Imagine you'd put a screwdriver in there. Anyway, we're going to put the penny into the top this time for the primary drive nut. And this also slackens off anti-clockwise as well. And this one's normally tight as well. But with your penny, you might see the penny nip in and it'll probably bend on the other side, but the penny's the best thing to use. And it is dead tight. When you're doing this, you can put that nut back on to cover the threads, just to protect it, just in case your ratchet comes down. But the ratchet's missing it there. But just in case, I always do that. I always put the threads back on, the fine threads. Like once I take the crank out, I'll be putting this nut back on once it's slackened. Just remember, I'm out of breath. This nut is super tight. It's hard to get off. I'll just have to take it in there onto the floor and put all my weight onto this. But like I say, it comes off anti-clockwise. Just remember that. still tight there, and that's that off. We'll take our penny out, and that's the damage to the penny. It shows what damage some metal pushed into your cogs would do. So we're going to take the balancer shaft cog off. That's your locking tab. And that's your nut. That's what your nut looks like. And then that's your balancer shaft cog. There's the notch I was talking about, what lines up with the notch on this cog. You might be able to see it. It's just above my finger there. Get a closer look. There it is. There. Just above me thumb there. That lines up with the notch on this one. Anyway, you've got a woodruff key in this shaft, and there'll be a woodruff key in this primary drive shaft. There's only two on this side of the engine. And there's one woodruff key on the other side which drives your flywheel. So there's three in the full engine. So we're going to pop this woodruff key out, which looks like that. It's smaller than the woodruff key what goes in the primary drive. So we'll take it off now. You've got your primary drive nut, what looks like that. It's the same as the kickstart nut. That's your primary drive nut. You've got a big spacer washer in here, which looks like that. And you've got your primary drive. It will just pull off unless it's tight. It just pulls off, and there'll be a woodruff key what drives this in there, which is a bit tight on it. I normally leave this baffler plate on, and then when the crank comes out from the other end, this slides through, and this sprocket's on there, and you can take it off, because these are always round as well. These are hard to get out. I'm going to take them off now, and they've slackened quite easy for once. Like I say, use the impact again. So that's the oil baffler plate with your two screws. Like I say, this engine, somebody's been into it before, so they're easy to get off. If nobody's been into it, I think these are sealed all the way up, or Loctite. They're dead hard to get off. Anyway, we're gonna take this cog off now. It just pulls off. It's tight. And that's cog off. Goes onto the engine that way, with that sort of lip facing that way. So it goes on that way. Just remember your little mark. That's how you know that mark faces towards you. The woodruff key, which is on that shaft, it's been put in wrong. Normally they both slide out. If you can see, there's a, see that little gap there where it's been pushed right in. You should just put this cog on, then your primary draft, then put your woodruff key on. That's why it's hard to get out. They normally just come out. It's even tight in there. It's even tight in the crank. And that's it out finally. If you do look closely, you see all the wedge marks, and the, see if I can get closer, the wedge marks and the scrape marks. I say they normally just slide out when you take that woodruff key out. You can go straight to this woodruff key. Anyway, the woodruff key, which will be replacing and rebuild, the long one, which looks like that compared to that one, goes into the primary drive. Just remember, have it flush on the end. Don't push it right the way in as this one's been. And then this smaller one goes into the balancer shaft. And that groove there, like I say, there's only two grooves. That one there, and that one's your the primary drive out of key. And we've got this big bush what just slides out. Pull that off. There's no washers or nothing, it just pulls straight off. Get the impact again onto this one. Once it's in, just tap it with a hammer, take it out. Then we can slacken this out now. Just remember, hardest part of these engines is the screws. And it looks like that. And that's the screw. Then we're going to take this 10 milli off here. And just remember, if you're doing inside engines, use a little ratchet. Don't use a big heavy one like that. Because when you're tightening stuff up, you don't realise how hard you're tightening stuff. With these, you can nip stuff up properly. Anyway, let's get this off. And then this comes off. Check it to make sure it's all nice and straight, which it is. Check that for no flat spots or wear. That's the nut what comes out. It's countersunk like that, little 10 mil, and you've got that spring off the back of it. And another thing what's different to normal DTO engines, I know this hasn't got idler cog because it's electric start, but on the idler cogs you've got 2 circlips on here. This has got no circlips at all. Just remember that. But now we can move the clutch arm as well. Just get your pick in there and lift it out. Pull that spring back. It just slides out. There'll be a fin washer at the top, like that. That sits on top. And you've got your seal and your bearing in there. That washer normally sits on the top like that. That's what it looks like. And then pop this bush out as well. It just slides out. It looks like that. Remember to grease that, oil it when it pulls back on, because if that rusts to this shaft, they're impossible to get off. And they're not impossible, but it makes the job much harder. But anyway, that's what your bush looks like off your front sprocket. And this is my other tip. If you think you're going to get muddled up with all these case bolts like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 there, 6, 7. There's one here, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in here. These two are a different length for this one. So what you could do is do this. I used to do this when I first started doing engines in my 20s. You've got like your 5 case bolts. So this one would go in here, this one in here, this one in here, this one in here, and this one in here. And then you've got this one which will go in there. You've got that one to go in there, and so on. Like this one here, you cannot see it because the camera's offline. You've got that one down here which goes in that one. Anyway, we'll take them out and I'll show you what it looks like. And then that's what it wants to be looking like. So this one's will come out of here, this one in there. We've got this that goes on that way for the cable for your starting motor, and that bolt goes through there anyway. And then next one is going to be this one in here. You can't see it because of that rubber bone, but there's one there. There's one here which goes into that one, and you can see your reeds, and that's where your reeds go. And then this one, which is this one here, which is just here, you can't see it off camera. And then we can take these inner ones out now. There's 5 of them. Put them in here. So that big long one will go in there. Got this one which is the same length as the one I've just took out into there. And then we can take this one out, which is here, and that's it, shorter than these two. Which is that one. So we'll put that through there, and then we're going to put this screw and that screw into there and there. All out, you should have a little thing like that. Just put it somewhere safe. And now the good part, when you get to this, you've done all the slippy screws is out the way here. You get your puller on, get your case split, hoping that this case pulls off, hoping that this front sprocket shaft isn't jammed in this bearing here. With it being a newish engine, hopefully it isn't. And once the splitter's on, we can just turn this and start splitting the engine. This one's come apart nice and easy. Take a note, if that's opening more than that, slap that off. Get your rubber mallet and give your flywheel a tap, and that's it. With this engine being apart before, it's come apart kind of easy, and then we're just gonna split it. Just making sure it all comes off evenly when you're doing it, which this one's splitting quite easy, to be honest. And again, tap your front sprocket again. That's it. It should just lift off now. That's it. Oops. That's your case off split. Put that one side. I'll take the puller out later. And then you've got your gears, your crank, and everything. When you split your engine, if you find that it normally drops out, it just comes out of that hole there, like that. Yep. And the good thing with DT engines, normally when you get your crank bearing, when your main bearing normally sticks on there, on some engines you do. On these, you can normally just tap them out gently. That's it, isn't it? The dead slack to the main bearings, so you rarely have the problem with the main bearing stuck on there, and there's no play in that. That's a good crank, that. Alright, that's it done. Thanks for watching. This picture there, that's what it looks like. That's still a good main bearing, but I will be changing that. If you do engines, you know to change these anyway once you split them, because I don't know how long these have been in before I got the bike and the engine.